Now, Executive Suites with WPRI.com reporter Ted Nesi.
Welcome to Executive Suite. I'm Ted Nesi, and this week before Thanksgiving, people getting ready to see their families, we're talking about some businesses that are like family in Rhode Island. They've been around a long time, about almost a century in both cases. Later, we're going to hear from Benny's Arnold Bromberg about what they're doing there as they celebrate their 90th birthday and get ready for the Christmas shopping season. But right now, very pleased to be joined by the CEO of Navigant Credit Union, Gary Furtado. Gary, thank you for being here.
Thank you, Ted. Appreciate you inviting me.
So, first off, and I think we've had a credit union on before, but I want to start with the same question I did then because I know there's people at home who don't know the answer. What is a credit union? How is it different from a regular old bank?
Okay, credit union is a cooperative, Ted. So if you open an account with a credit union, you are a member. You are an owner of the credit union. So if you have $10,000 in your account and I have $10 in my account, we both are equal owners of the credit union. We have one vote at an annual meeting of the membership.
So it's kind of, you're almost like a shareholder.
You're a shareholder. You're correct, exactly. You're a shareholder.
Deposits
Everyone
give you
has a
rights.
share.
Okay.
Correct.
So Navigant's story is interesting. It kind of tracks, I was reading up on you guys, the development of Rhode Island over the last century. You actually started almost, it would be a century next year, right?
Yes.
It's 100 years, in the basement of a church. Tell me about the beginnings and how the bank, the credit union has grown.
As you mentioned, we'll be 100 years old next March. 1915 we were started, and really from the French immigrants, the French-Canadian immigrants that had come down to the Blackstone Valley, down to Central Falls to work in the mills, and trying to get some banking services in those days, and it was difficult. So they formed together at Notre Dame Parish in the basement and started the credit union back in 1915. Opened up an office on Broad Street. At the end of the first year, we had $24,000 in assets. Today we have $1.5 billion.
It's grown a little.
It's grown a little, yes, that's good. And we were on Broad Street until 1995 was our only office. So really took care of the Central Falls, Blacksville Valley community. Actually, our name at the time until 2007 was Credit Union Central Falls. And we were there until 95, opened our first branch in Cumberland, and as of today we have 13 branches in northern Rhode Island and down towards the East Bay.
So right up into the 1990s, you were primarily still focused in Central Falls?
Yes, we were. We had one office in Central Falls, but we were still focused anywhere in the state. We are a state-chartered community credit union, so anyone can join. We can do business with anyone, so we were doing business in the whole state, but we only had one office in Central Falls, yes.
But that has changed now, right? Tell us about your geographic footprint today. Part of the reason, I think, for the name change, right?
Yes, we moved, our first branch was 1995, as I mentioned, in Cumberland. Then we moved to Pawtucket, Woonsocket. So now we have 13 branches, as I said, in northern Rhode Island. We moved our headquarters in 2005 into Smithfield, up on Route 116 and 7. And in 2007, we changed our name to Navigant Credit Union. Again, mostly because we were not only in Central Falls anymore. We were more or less geographic in the northern part of the state.
Were people confused when it was Central Falls Credit Union? They think it was only for Central Falls?
Yes, and it was a big decision. It took us a long time to make the decision to change the name. We do have a love for Central Falls and for the city, and we're very happy it's going in the right direction today. So it was a difficult decision, but you're right. We had done a few surveys, and most people thought that you either had to live, work, or have some connection to the city of Central Falls to be a member of the credit union. So the name change was stressful, but it worked out very well.
Now, I know from my days at PBN, some years you folks have been the largest credit union by assets. Some years you're second. You trade it with one of your competitors there.
We do trade it with Pawtucket Credit Union. At the moment, they're a little larger than us.
Are they?
So
Okay, I was going to ask.
Number 2. Yes, that's okay.
But both, I mean, is it a major change for credit unions to be as large as, over $1 billion in assets in your case and in Pawtucket's case?
There are about 8,000 credit unions in the country, and about 150 of them are probably over $1 billion. So it is a small majority of the credit unions that would be over $1 billion.
So it's a relatively rare thing. Is that create a problem in any way with the structure of a credit union, or do you think being a credit union can adapt to that kind of size?
We can adapt to the size, yeah. I think it's strange that there are two credit unions, Pawtucket and Central Falls, within 3 miles of each other that are both over $1 billion. So that's a little unique.
That's unlikely.
Yes, that's unlikely.
Yeah, I guess it's a history around here. So you've made some acquisitions. Part of the growth there is you've acquired other credit unions over the years. I know the Providence Journal's small one a couple years ago, as well as bigger ones. Do you expect to do more acquisitions? Is that something you spend a lot of time thinking about?
I guess we think about it, sure. We always have, always open to discuss it with anyone. Nothing on the table at the moment, though.
No, not announcing one today.
We're not announcing anything today.
All right, next time you're on. So obviously, every financial institution, every business organization has been affected by the economy in recent years. How, especially being a Rhode Island-based institution with the severity of the downturn here, how was Navigant affected by the recession and by how slow the recovery has been in Rhode Island? What's it been like for you folks?
Well, I tell people that, the good news was that Navigant is a real estate lender. Back in 07 and 08, the bad news was Navigant was a real estate lender. Okay, so a lot of our assets are really business model has been residential real estate lending. The good side was that we never went crazy with the interest only, 110% of the value of the house. Really old-fashioned lending in the sense of your residential property, 20% down payment, and we'll finance the property for you. So obviously, it hurt a little in those days in the sense of values went down quite a bit. But we did fine. Our foreclosures were minimal. So we did very well back because we were a very conservative lender, and we continue to be that.
Were you tempted to go, as you saw some of these other countrywide and places were growing leaps and bounds, doing subprime and as you say, liar loans, they sometimes call them, and everything. Did you ever think, or now you look back, I'm glad I made a different decision when it was on the table?
I guess we used to scratch our heads and say, what are they doing? And wow, they're making a lot of money. How are they doing that? So, no, never had an attempt, never really wanted to do that, which was, looking back, was a good decision.
What's been the sense you've had? One of the interesting things always about having a banker on is that you kind of get the pulse of the economy. You see in your portfolios, the loans and everything else. What's your sense this past year as we come to the end of 2014 and looking forward about sort of consumer confidence and how the economy's going in the region in Rhode Island? What's your sense?
Looking back, we did a lot of business the last 5 years refinancing mortgages. So as rates went down, everyone kept refinancing the house. We saw this year at about a 50-50 rate in the sense of new purchases compared to refinances, which has been the largest percentage we've had since before the crisis.
So a real change.
So we're seeing a lot of house purchases being done. We're seeing the economy getting better. Obviously, we would all like it to go faster, but I think it's going in the right direction. We do commercial lending. About 12% of our portfolio is commercial lending, and we're seeing the businesses that we're dealing with are doing better also. So I would say, yes, the economy is getting better in Rhode Island.
But slowly, perhaps.
Slowly. We'd like it to go quicker, but yes, it's getting better.
You also, there was a great story in PBN about your loans jumped from $830 million in 2012 to over $1 billion in 2013. And they did some analysis and found, although it was partly due to a merger, it was also just organic growth, much faster than other credit unions. What do you think was driving that allowed you to have faster growth in your loan portfolio?
I think we were aggressive in lending. We were out there in the media telling them that we were lending. We had money to lend. A lot of banks had kind of gone inside and we're not lending. We were lending, and I think our reputation. We've got a again 100 years old. We've got a long reputation of being conservative, being local, and I think that kind of resonated with people at that time, and they came knocking at the door.
And we have to go to a break, but before that, there was a time when you'd talk to bankers, they'd say, we have money we'd like to loan out, but we're not getting enough qualified borrowers to actually make loans, which sort of stalls the banking system. What's that matchup like now? Do you find that there's enough people coming in who are qualified to take out a loan for what you have on offer?
I think there is, yeah. We've been fairly busy. It's been a good year this year. Last year was actually a little busier for us. 2013 was a little busier than this year, but it's been a good year, and there are a lot of qualified borrowers out there. And again, I think the local community institution is resonating with people coming in and knocking on the door, so it's been good.
All right, well, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll have more with Gary Furtado from Navigant Credit Union talking about what's going on in the financial industry, and stay tuned later for an update from Benny's, everyone's favorite Rhode Island store. Stick with us on Executive Suite. Welcome back to Executive Suite. I'm Ted Nisi, and we're talking to two storied Rhode Island businesses that are both celebrating nearly a century in business right now. Later on, we're going to talk to the owner of Benny's, but right now we're talking about Navigant Credit Union. Some of you with longer memories might remember it as Central Falls Credit Union. They changed the name in 2007, and I'm here with the CEO, Gary Furtado. And Gary, you've had that title CEO for quite a number of years. I was 3 years old when you became the CEO in 1987.
1987, okay.
So did you expect when they said to you, Gary, you're our new CEO, that you would stay this long in this job?
Well, I started in 1978 right out of college. I was an accounting major, came in as an accountant, went and got my master's degree, and when they offered me the job, obviously as a 29, 30-year-old, I said, I can do this is easy.
You were only 30 and they made you the
30,
CEO.
Yep. So I was fortunate. And
Were
like
you
I said,
nervous to be the CEO?
I think I was too young and inexperienced to be nervous. I guess that would be the best way to put it. But it's been a great tenure. I've been with the credit union now 36 years. I've been the CEO for, was that 25, 27 years? Yep.
What's kept you there? What's unique? What's to you? You know better probably than almost anybody at this point. What's sort of the culture of Navigant to you?
I guess I could say no one else will hire me, but that's not a good answer. But no, it's been a great organization. The culture there is fabulous. They've treated me very well. I can't complain. But the culture is a family organization. It really is a family feeling, and I'm fortunate to be there, and it's a great place to work.
Now, it was significantly smaller when you became the CEO,
yes,
right, in '87. Has it been, as an executive, how do you manage that, going for growth, getting to over $1 billion in assets under a tenure, but also, I assume, trying not to lose what made it special, which is easier when it's a small place and everyone knows each other and you're kind of in one place. How have you dealt with that over the years?
Well, we've gone from 25 employees when I started. We had about 30 employees when I became president, CEO, up to 250 employees today. It's difficult to keep that, but that's stressed a lot in the institution in the sense of culture, family. One of our core values is do the right thing. Do the right thing for the customer, and we stress that with everyone.
I had someone ask me a funny question that I'll put to you, which was, how much time does a bank executive or credit union executive worry about bank robberies? How much time you spend on that, or is that you kind of have a plan in place and you just deal with it if it ever happens, God forbid?
We try not to think of it, but yeah, we have a security officer, security department that I think they worry about that all the time. So,
that's why they're being paid to worry about, right?
It is scary. We've had our share, but fortunately, no one was ever injured, and that's really the case. We tell our employees. Give them whatever they want. Give them your engagement ring. We'll buy you a new one.
Wow! All right.
The number one goal is
I'll do a stick up later today at a
get
credit
that person out of the building.
Yeah, that's right. That makes sense. So you joined the bank, as you said, in 1978. CEO since '87. A lot of changes in the banking industry,
yes.
locally and nationally in that time. What sticks out to you as one or some of the biggest changes in how the banking sector works in that over your time?
I think technology now in institution. Obviously, back in the '70s and '80s, it was a passbook, it was a mortgage. Now we've got the whole suite of products from mobile banking, internet banking, bill pay. Everything that you need. Banking is 24/7 now.
One thing I've heard,
like the news cycle, obviously, 24/7.
That's for darn sure. Some of the bank execs I've talked to have said, especially somewhat smaller institutions compared to the big behemoths, it can be hard to keep up with the pace of technology change because people want the same thing from a behemoth like Bank of America that they would get at the credit union. How do you keep up with that?
I think our size at $1.5 billion, we can keep up pretty well. The smaller institutions, if you get to a $100 million credit union, $50 million credit union, it's difficult. When I started back in '78, there were, I believe, about 17,000 credit unions in the United States. Right now, it's in the 6,000s. So you do see a lot of mergers because of the smaller ones find it very difficult to keep up with technology.
Another thing you're hearing a lot about in banking these days is regulations. There's obviously, after the financial crisis, Dodd-Frank and other new laws and things passed. Is that mostly affecting the really large institutions, or do you feel the impact of those kind of changes in Washington and elsewhere at your level?
A little of both to that answer to the question. Really, the bigger banks have more regulations that were thrown at them than we do, but we've had quite a bit, especially in the lending side, the mortgage side. Regulations have come in fast and furious. Again, there were some players out there that were not doing the right thing, so we all have to pay for it now. The pendulum is swung in the other direction.
Do you think it's gone too far? Do you think?
I think there needs to be a middle of the road. Yeah. It's the regulation, it was too easy, now it's a little too tough.
So it's like you said, swung the other way.
Correct, yeah.
And it'll swing back, and then we'll swing, always on the pendulum. You're on an advisory council at Central Falls, Mayor James Diosa, and as we've been saying, it was the Central Falls Credit Union. You have a history there. That city's taken some real blows in recent years, going bankrupt in the years that led up to that. Doing business there, knowing folks in the city, how do you think things are going in Central Falls? Do you see the evidence of the upswing?
I do. We still have our branch at Broad Street. Still, our largest branch of our branch network is Central Falls. We have a love for Central Falls, there's no doubt. And I've been fortunate to work with the mayor there. And yes, I think that the perception of what the city's going through or what direction they're going is definitely positive. They've made some good changes there, come out of bankruptcy, which was obviously difficult and made national news, but their direction is upward also.
Yeah, you can see the evidence of that
Yes.
going forward. There's a lot of talk now about what Rhode Island can do to improve the economy. New governor coming in, new elected leaders, and everything else. I'm sure some of them reach out to you. What, do you have any big advice? You say, oh, I wish they would just do this one thing and we'd have a big impact or something. What would you say if someone called you up?
I think regulation's difficult for, if any business that needs to get some kind of approval, some kind of permission to do something, it's difficult to go through the state bureaucracy, state or city bureaucracy. I think if they loosen that up, a lot of small businesses that we see have no idea how to do that, how to get through that network. So I think if there was help doing that, if there was a little ease, it would make it'd be easier for small businesses.
So do you think is the issues with regulations as big as taxes when you're talking to businesses and what impacts them? Is that just as high of mind?
I think regulation's higher mind than taxes.
Yeah.
If you look at the small business world, regulation is tougher than the taxes.
One other hat you wear is you're on the Board of Trustees of Care New England, I believe, the big hospital network there. The hospital sector, another one that's faced challenges in Rhode Island in recent years. From that perch, what are you seeing there? How do you think things are going in the hospital sector?
Well, how I got onto Care New England board was I was on the board of Pawtucket Memorial Hospital. So we obviously merged into Care New England after some difficult years in Pawtucket there, and it's turning around in the Pawtucket Hospital, also Memorial Hospital. That's a tough industry, I have to say. That's a whole different conversation.
Not one you want to get into, it sounds like. All right. Well, that's all the time we have. I want to thank Gary Furtado, CEO of Navigant Credit Union, for being here with me. They're not just in Central Falls anymore, that's for sure. But stick with us, because up next we're going to talk with Benny's about their plans for Black Friday and the Christmas shopping season and celebrating their 90th birthday. Stick with us on Executive Suite. I was in there. Welcome back to Executive Suite. I'm Ted Nisi, and we're going to be talking with Arnold Bromberg from Benny's. But before we bring him on, I want to show you a new commercial Benny's is going to start running soon, trying to take kind of a different tack on the Black Friday sale craziness that we see every year at this time of year. Let's take a listen to what they're going to tell people.
I just want to sleep in the day after Thanksgiving. I don't want to leave the house at 3 in the morning. It's too early. It's too early. Too early. It's too early. Why can't stores just open at a regular hour and still give me a great deal? Huh? Really? Seriously?
Are you looking for some stress-free holiday shopping? Benny's Sleep.
There you go. So Benny's taking a very different role, and I'm here with Arnold Bromberg. He's the co-owner of Benny's, along with your brother, right?
My brother and sister.
Your brother and sister, so still family run after 90 years. So tell me, what was the thinking that went into putting that ad together as we were heading right into the Black Friday season now?
Well, I think it was about 3 years ago we started, and we came up with the slogan, Sleeping and Save, because we have no intention of opening up at a crazy hour the day after Thanksgiving, let alone Thanksgiving Day, which we wouldn't even...
Yeah, we're seeing a bunch of places do that this year.
Wouldn't even think of that. But so we figure that people want to get a good night's sleep, and our stores open at a normal, regular hour on the day after Thanksgiving, and our specials are not just for a few hours on Friday morning. We run this for 2 days, Friday and Saturday.
Now, do you get any pushback from that inside the company? Does anyone say, no, like, we've got to do, our competitors are open at 6 p.m. on Thanksgiving, we got to do it?
No. I think some of our people take the chance and they may go shopping at 3 in the morning, but I won't do
Your
that.
own folks get a TV at 3 a.m.
They might,
wherever, but then they come to
Yeah,
work.
but it's just not part of our...
What do you make of the other retailers making the decisions, the big national chains, that they're going to open on Thanksgiving and whenever?
I mean, they have to do whatever they can do to beat the competition to the punch. And we're just not fighting in that same arena.
Yeah, it's just different for Benny's. So 90th anniversary, you're up on right now and everything. How have you been celebrating that major milestone for the company?
Well, I feel young because Navigant's almost 100.
Yeah, exactly.
So, well, we had our 90 days of deals, which ran from end of July up until late October. And then we celebrated our actual 90th was on November 10th. And so we had a couple of special things. We gave away Benny's 90th anniversary hats, and we've had a lot of fun with it.
Have a bit of a party with it. And you brought some props here to remind us, so I want to hold them up. Which one should I hold up first?
Oh, this one right here.
This one right here. All right, so what are we looking at here? We'll take
this is my grandfather's, an announcement that he put into the Providence Journal on November 9th, 1924, and it says opening Monday, November 10th. And actually, this was unearthed by one of our store assistant managers, Steve Perini from Westerly, and he was doing some research at URI in the microfilm library. And then he also found this next thing.
Here's another one we have
which
here,
was
yeah.
possibly the first actual ad that my grandfather ran.
So this is a Lord of look here. So this is the first. This still looks a little like the Benny's ads you're running. Now let's hold it up next to each other here.
Well.
I see some kinship there over the course of 90 years and everything. If it's not broke, don't fix it. Huh?
That's right. That's right.
So one question I always hear sometimes from people, and last time you were on, we talked a little about this, but to bring up the conversation again on the birthday, people worry almost. They saw so many famous chains in the region go out of business, Apex, Bradley's, others, and they say, will Benny's be able to stay open? Are they financially okay? What do you say to people when they're worried, oh, will Benny's go the way of all these other stores we love?
Well, I mean, we keep doing what we've always known how to do, which is take care of the customer. And we don't feel that good customer service and good values is ever going to go out of style.
So and you keep going for it. You think it'll make it to 100 then?
Yeah, hope so.
Easily,
Yeah.
if not more. What do you think is the biggest reason it survived when others didn't, though? I can't imagine those ones said, oh, let's change everything and give bad deals and everything. They must have had some inclination to try to follow.
Yeah, I've thought about that, and I think part of it, not all of it, but part of it is the local Rhode Island mentality. The same mentality that you don't want to drive more than 20 minutes to go to a restaurant, and that people like to shop at what's familiar. I think that's a lot of it.
And you guys are just a part of the fabric of the place at this point. So one thing you do at Christmas time that I'm always interested in is you do layaways. There was a long time layaways seem to be going the way of the Pony Express or whatever, but now you're starting to see them come back. Have you seen, do you think the economic downturn, the recession, and since then had an impact on people's use of layaways? What did you see from inside the store?
Well, I think that's a reason that our competition brought it back, but we never let it go. We've done layaways continually since the beginning.
And was there always demand for it?
Oh, yes, yeah.
So people wanted it. It didn't go away because people didn't want it.
People wanted it, and I think if the economic times were better, I think people still did it because it was familiar. It was a way to keep the toys out of the house until Christmas.
That's right. Could you see Benny's opening more stores down the line? Do you still think about that?
Absolutely.
What's your view on expansion right now?
Yeah, we look for opportunities, but we'll welcome anything that comes along.
But you wouldn't go too far to this region, I assume. You see a regional footprint?
Yes, that's what we see, yes.
Yeah, we're not going to see a Benny's in California or Hawaii anytime soon?
If it was Hawaii, I'd probably be there.
Yeah, Hawaii, you might do it. I can say, bring me along for the announcements. So, and I was asking a similar question to Gary Furtado in the first half, but what's your sense from looking at your own sales day and stuff? How is the economy doing right now in Rhode Island compared to the last few years and since the recession? Do you see evidence of an upswing?
Yeah, I do. I think that especially since the end of the summer. I mean, summer was not a great summer weather-wise, but since then, I think we've seen some signs that we're getting some action.
Do you see changes in your product mix based on what sells based on the economy? Certain goods, when people are reining back, they're just buying duct tape and whatever other the absolute essentials and tires and things.
No, I think what happens is that it's trends. I mean, in toys, for example, Legos have become very, very hot. The past few years, we do a tremendous business with Legos, and but basically we just follow the trends.
And there you go, Benny's, the trendy Benny's. That's a way people won't think of. All right, that's all the time we have for this thing. Thank you, everyone, for being with me this week. And Arnold Bromberg, thanks for being with me. Tune in next week when our guest will be Citizen CEO Bruce Van Zon. See you next week.